A lot of champions changed in this patch, mostly due to item tweaks and due to mastery changes. There's still some options that were pretty strong earlier on, mostly tanks ones, since tank items didn't really get nerfed. Other than that, a lot of new picks with really buffed items came into play. The most buffed item right now is Rageblade. Every champion that has any high bit scaling, AD and AP scaling, really benefited from this buff, and it's right now the strongest item by far in the game. Most champions that build this into their path, I got a lot stronger, as well as other changes that benefit those champions, makes them a viable pick now. So for Modified, what I like right now is that the Gauntlet got buffed, so you can just rush that and be really efficient, and also Abyssal got a bit of a buff as well. So both of his starting options are really strong right now, and everything that you buy from there onwards is also pretty strong. Overall, I'd say that he is a very decent pick right now, especially with all the auto attack reliant champions with Rageblade going around. So he's definitely one of the best tanks for this meta. So for core items in Modified, I would say Gauntlet, obviously, maybe an Abyssal, Sunfire Cape, Deadman's Blade is good. Just overall tank items. You can get Vanishing Spell, Spirit Visage, all that stuff. So depending on what they have, just get really beefy, and you'll be doing a lot of base damages already from just your kit and just the Ice proc from the Gauntlet, which now scales with bonus armor. So that's one of the main reasons as well. He got buffed. His team fighter got a bit of a bonus with the AoE from Gauntlet scaling with armor. He's definitely the champion with the most armor in the game. So he has pretty high, wide AoE auto attacks, slows with that. The thing that changed about Gangplank is just the itemization. The crit itemization is a little bit better now, so you can get higher amounts of crits chance with a lot of the items. So he's just a stronger carry for the late game because the synergy with all the AD items got buffed. So you have better options to go with later on. So that's pretty much what makes him strong. He didn't get nerfed at all, and he's just still a Gangplank. He's a pretty strong carry champion. So he is definitely one of my top picks right now, and is also almost Perm event. So definitely one of the strongest champions still. So the item build changed a little bit. Before I used to get Ghostblade on him because the pretty cheap price to it and armor penetration as well as crit chance. But now that they removed the crit chance on it and they added the up the cost by quite a bit, I don't think that's a viable option anymore. So I would say use Triforce. It's still your first item. After Triforce, you would get an Essence Reaver, since you will get up to 30% CDR just with the crit chance from your Triforce. So that's another really strong item they added. Just being able to get 30% crit chance just with one item is a really strong thing to have, and you will have 40% CDR just with the Triforce and Essence Reaver. And after that, you can go for the rest of your build, which should be in my opinion, Scimitar is the best item you can get. And then after that, you can get an IE, more crit chance, or even a GA, just defensive items, and you'll be pretty tanky and have a lot of CDR and damage. So the Nidalee changes basically just consist of the Rageblade buff. She is one of the best champions to get Rageblade on, as she's a lane bully that can farm really well early on and push your turrets down as well. She is a really strong split pusher with a strong attack speed steroid, and she is pretty decent AD and AP scaling on her kit added already. So I'd say that's what makes her strongest right now, and she is definitely one of the strongest picks that benefited from that Ginsu's buff. So for item build on Nidalee, right now the best way to go is just 2 or 3 Doran's Blades and get your Rage Blade as soon as possible. So if you go back to base with enough for a component, you should do that. But yeah, overall after that, you can go for just a Gauntlet as well, which used to be a pretty decent buy option on Nidalee, but now since the buff, it's even better on her. So I would say the offensive options very got buffed, as well as the defensive options. So overall, she's a pretty strong bruiser that takes down turrets really fast right now. So for item build on Jax, obviously the very strong Rage Blade is the way to go right now. Triforce is not an option on him anymore. You really only need the Rage Blade to be efficient on him. Afterwards, you can just go for, I've seen people go for Gunblade. I am not too fond of the item myself. I think just going for other options, as in just maybe like a Bork if you're playing against a really tanky champion, or just straight out just tank items after you get your Ginsus. Since Ginsus is really the only offensive item you need on most champions, you can get 1 or 2 defensive items on Jax, and then after that look into buying more offensive options. You can also go for a gauntlet on Jax, a frozen gauntlet, which is also a really strong item in this patch. And synergizes with him fairly well, since he gets bonus armor from his ulti. So overall, just getting that early Witchblade, maybe getting a Triforce later on into the game, but obviously not anymore. It's not required to rush it anymore. Kayle is, in my opinion, the best champion, the best champion that benefited the most out of all the changes they made to AP items. They actually buffed Nashor's Tooth and they buffed Lichbane, as well as obviously the very strong Rageblade. So all three items are items that you should be getting on Kayle. So she definitely got a massive buff with just her having all her item path be buffed as well. So right now the strongest item build on Kayle is obviously rushing that Rageblade because it's really strong. And after that you just get your Nashor's Tooth. You can get Mercury Threads for boots, or you can get CDR boots depending on your setup. If you have CDR from your runes, you don't need the obviously the CDR boots, but otherwise you just get your Merc Threads, maybe Swiftness if they have a lot of slows and stuff like that. And after that you'll be getting just Lichbane, and in my opinion the best way to go from that is just getting defensive items. So if you go for like a GA or Banshee's build, you'll be pretty tanky, pretty sturdy champion, just dishing out a lot of damage. Thanks for watching. Make sure to check out my other videos at lawclass.com. Through the ulti, so it's a pretty good zoning tool. As also, the most important thing obviously is your barrels in fights. You want to just keep an eye on their carries.